Hello, I'm here to do one of my readings, and the book I chose is What's That Awful Smell? The way I'm going to be teaching this book is through a mix of videos 1 and 2 that I saw. I'm just going to really talk about predictions, which they talked about inferring, but I'm just going to use predictions, so that's going to be one of the vocabulary words that we go over, is what a prediction is, which basically just means to me that they are trying to guess what happens next in the book. So we're getting past the point of like the phonics part where they're learning the individual letters and sounds and the combinations of certain letters and sounds, but we're going to actually be working on actual reading part, thinking what's going to happen next, and then the retelling of the story. So today I have two students. And what they're going to do is on these sticky notes they're going to write about what's happening in the book as we go along. Here is my fake whiteboard. So the first one is the cover page, the smell good, and the end. So through each part of the book I'm going to go through and stop at each point and let them write what they think is going to happen next, and then we will continue to read the book from there and then talk about it at the end. So here are your guys' sticky notes and a pen. So first we're going to begin with just the front page. It says, "What's that awful smell?" and it has a picture of all the animals. So what they're going to do now is write on their first sticky note what they think this book is going to be out just by looking at the cover page, and then they'll walk up to the board and they will place what they think is the book about. So if you guys would please do that. So our first one we have is, we think that this book is going to be about the duck, and the next one we think the farmer's wife is cooking something bad. So just by looking at the cover page, that is what they got from this book. So now we will continue to read. Okay, so class, what is that awful smell? In the middle of a hot afternoon, Dog headed to the barn. He knew it was cooler in there. He knew there was a meaty bone in there. He knew he could have a quiet nap in there. But did he not know what he would find in there? Dog took one step in and stopped. "What's that awful smell?" he growled. When Duck arrived a few moments later, he found Dog frantically sniffing around the barn. So, in this part of the book, I would ask students questions like, what could the smell possibly be? What are some animals in a barn? Those are just certain things that we could ask to the class to keep them engaged in the book. "What's going on? What are you doing?" Duck quacked. Then he choked. "What's that awful smell?" "I'm trying to find out," said Dog. The sheep bounced in the barn next. They stopped and sniffed. "What's that awful smell?" they bleated. "Dog's looking," Duck told them. Soon the cow trudged through the door. They raised their heads and took a deep breath. "What's that awful smell?" they grumbled. The dog disappeared into the back stall. "Aha!" he barked. "He found it." So I'm going to stop here, and on their second sticky note, I will have them figure out what they think that this awful smell is. So as they're writing, I'll just wait and let them write what they think the awful smell is. That the smell could be in the barn. There's many smells that could be in the barn. I could also talk to the class about that, such as saying things as, what are some things that stink? What are some things they could find in the barn? Pick one animal that could live in the barn and what stinks. So they inferred that there's a dead mouse and that there may be mice poop in the barn, which are very valid answers. So I'll continue reading. The animals raced to see. It's a pig, they cried. The little pig made a little oink. A piglet, Dog corrected. That's even worse. Will it get smellier as it grows? One cow moaned. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Duck buried his face under his wig. It's kind of cute. A sheep blurted out. The other didn't agree. So it was a pig. I have no idea, Dog barked. Get me some hay. The animals brought great mouthfuls of hay, and Dog covered the piglet from head to toe to see the smell didn't go away. The piglet poked his head out of the hay. It looked at Dog. Oink, it said. What? What did it say? Duck quacked. So this part I could ask them, what makes pigs stink? They could say what they eat, so they could name all sorts of things. And we could also talk about all the other animals in the barn. Maybe it wants a bath, the sheep guessed. Dog's eyes lit up. Maybe a bath would wash away the smell, he said. There's a puddle outside, the cow said. Pigs love puddles, but this piglet didn't. The animals pushed and pulled, but the piglet wouldn't budge. Finally, Duck jumped in and splashed the piglet and said, Oink, oink, the soggy piglet cried and ran back into the barn, and the smell was still there. So, we will now talk about why the smell is still there. We'll talk about maybe some hygiene stuff, about how kids need to bathe to smell good and no one likes to stink. So, the flower in our meadow smells good, said the sheep. Would they help? Let's try. The others agreed, and all the sheep bounded off to get some. When they returned, the animals spread flowers all over the piglet and even stuck some in his ears, but the smell didn't go away. So, we can talk about why they think that all these things they're trying are not helping this poor pig not smell any better. Maybe it could live in the chicken coop, the cow suggested. It already smells bad in there. Great idea, said Dog. Duck nudged the piglet to its feet, and Dog led it into the chicken coop. But the chickens didn't want the piglet. They cackled when it shook mud on them. They squawked when it curled up in their nest, and when it ate their corn. They chased it right out of the coop. The squealing piglet ran back into the barn, and the smell was still there. I have one more idea, Dog said. He led them to the strawberry bushes that grew behind the barn. Nothing smells sweeter than strawberries, Dog said. Let's put them on the piglet. So the animals carried mouthfuls of juicy red berries back to the barn. The animals squished berries on the piglet's back. They mashed them on the piglet's legs. They rubbed them on the piglet's snout. When they were finished, the piglet was covered in sticky berries, and so were the animals. But the smell didn't go away. Now what? Cried the sheep. It will never go away, moaned the cow. Yuck, 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 complained the duck. Oink, said the pig, happily as it slurped berry juice off the others. So, now they will fill out their third sticky note. Since the smell has not gone away in the barn, what do they think the smell is that is stuck in the barn? Since it's none of the animals trying to help the pig become any cleaner, and it's not the pig himself, after all they've tried, now they have to try and predict the ending of the story. I'll just review what they already have written on the board. So the cover page, they thought this book was going to be about a duck, so that's already wrong. A farmer's wife's cooking something bad, that's wrong also. That has nothing to do with a farmer's wife, but that's okay, we're just trying to work on predictions. Then they tried to guess the smell of what's in the barn for the first time, and they think it's a dead mouse or a dead mouse poop. So now they'll be hanging their final sticky note, and their final sticky notes say that there's rotten food stuck under the hay, and they think that it's the pig's food that smells bad. So I'll finish the book, and then we will retell the book at the end. I guess there's nothing left to do, Dog said at last. We'll have to stay outside. Dog left the barn. The cows, the sheep, and ducks followed. They hugged together in a small patch of shade until Cat wandered by. Why are all of you out here? She meowed. There's an awful smelly pig in the barn, Dog told her. Oh dear, Cat whimpered. I hope it didn't eat my dinner. Dinner? Dinner? What dinner? Duck asked. My liver, onion, and tuna fish sandwich, Cat said. I hid it in the barn a few days ago. She strutted inside, and the others followed her back to the stall. From under the hay, Cat pulled out a fat, squishy sandwich. That's the smell, Dog barked. That's her dinner, mooed the cows. It wasn't the little pig, the sheep bleated. Yuck, 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 Duck quacked and blurted his face under his wing. Cat sniffed the sandwich. She said. It smells kind of rotten. Do any of you want it? The animal snorted and backed away. Suit yourself, Cat meowed. I know someone who will like it. So, who will like it, I wonder? Cat pushed the sandwich in front of the piglet, who ate it up in one gulp. Oink, it said happily, and the smell was gone. So, as we went through this book, they were able to predict what they thought would happen, and they were partially right on the end, saying that there was rotten food in a barn. So, this was my mystery book that I chose to do, and so at the end of the book, I will have my students then discuss at the end of the book every detail that they remembered about the book and what we just went over and read. And then I will also allow students to come up to the front of the room, and I'll just pick a few certain sticky notes and allow them to come up in front of the class and explain their reasoning for their prediction, just so we could really get their minds thinking about it even more and more. So I just thought this was a fun activity, and I kind of combined videos 1 and 2, and I think that this would be a good activity to do in the classroom, and it's something that is very helpful and something that we definitely need to learn how to do. So thank you very much.